Good afternoon, Littleton, and welcome to 01460 On the Go, the podcast for Littletonians by Littletonians. Today with me is Charlotte Dolenz, our co-chair of the Littleton Sustainability Committee. Welcome, Charlotte.
Hi, thanks.
And
Thanks for having me.
as always, Jim Duggan, our town administrator, is here with us as well.
Good afternoon.
And we are going to be talking today, we're launching a new series, the Green Littleton series, which was Charlotte's idea. So thank you, Charlotte, for the great idea. But before we kick that off, I just wanted to make a couple announcements about some important activities coming up here around town. On December 6th, we have the Holiday Bazaar, which is from 9 to 3 in the Littleton Middle School. And we'll get back to that because I know sustainability is going to have a table there. And then also on December 13th is the annual Toys for Tots drive over at the Littleton Police Department. And that will be from 10 to 12, I believe.
That's about right.
And folks it's a drive-through event, so you just bring your stuff, enter on one side, drop it off, and leave on the other. Bing, bang, boom, you're done, and you've done a really great thing. So that's also co-sponsored with Jim Arciero, our Massachusetts state rep in the House. So today, though, we're starting with reduce, reuse, recycle, the 3 R's. And Charlotte is here with us to talk about it. I thought we'd kick it off by talking a little bit about what Littleton has to offer. And that is primarily over at the transfer station, which I think most people know is over on Spec Pond Road. And I do think that a lot of people know that we've got the classic recycling there, right? The plastic, metal, glass, paper. But we also have leaves and grass clippings and brush can be brought there. And in addition to throwing things away or recycling them in the more typical sense, there's also a swap shop, which I think is a mainstay of town. Folks really love that. It's a shed where you can bring things that are still of value and still in use, and other folks can take a look and give it another life, which is fantastic. They also have the Redemption Center, which is probably one of the better known secrets, I think, here in town. That is something where the recycling can be sponsored by a nonprofit group. You talk to DPW, you say Scouts or another organization here in town wants to handle that. You can do the recycling sorting, and you can redeem all of the can fees for yourself and your organization. So if anyone is interested in the Redemption Center, they should please give DPW a call. In addition to that, one of the things, and I think this is, Charlotte, where you can jump in, is with materials that aren't handled right there at the transfer station. I think you have, you with sustainability, you all have some initiatives as well with recycling. Can you talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, absolutely. So we all know that there are some of those tricky, hard to recycle items where, you can't just drop them off in your usual recycling places. And so actually Margaret Gibbs on our sustainability committee has been really engaged in this as well with TerraCycle. And so they're known for being able to recycle some of those tricky items. And we actually have 4 drop-off locations in Littleton. So one of them is at the transfer station. It's a yellow bin near the tires area, so maybe some of people listening may have seen that one already. We also have one at Dolenz supermarket in Littleton, so it's just on the way out near the main exit. Also at the Dolenz supermarket in Acton, so close by to us, which is also near the bottle redemption area, and also one at the library here in Littleton. So it's downstairs between the stairs, just down in that area. And so a few of the items that people can drop off there include things like air freshener cartridges, those little plastic cartridges where you think, what am I going to do with this?
Right.
Drop it off at TerraCycle. Also, razors, right? Those little plastic razor cartridges.
Oh, like the cartridges.
Yeah, exactly. So those are, normally you'd think where you put those, you can drop those off also. Cell phone cases, some of those cleaning pumps, not the bottles, but the pump kind of action. You can drop off things like that. And also for people with young kids, some of those squeezable pouches, the ones with the little caps on top.
Oh, okay.
Those can also be dropped off, and some of those sort of performance food nutritional packages as well. So there's actually quite a variety of things you can drop off at the TerraCycle buckets. And then there are also some brand-specific items as well. So just to name a couple of them, but like Dunkin', for instance, you can drop off their, if it's that brand, you can drop off their coffee bags, for instance, and some of the items from the Tom's of Maine product line. So the first thing I would say is it's really important just to go on to the TerraCycle website so you can check what is drop-offable and what isn't. They have a great list there. They also tell you what you cannot drop off. And that's important because it actually costs them time and money to get rid of stuff that they don't recycle. But there's a full list there. It's updated really regularly. And we actually have a Littleton-MA-recycles URL, which will tell you specifically for these drop-off boxes what can be recycled and what cannot. So I encourage everybody to take a look at it. And they're always updating it. And so, new items might be recyclable soon.
That's great.
Great.
I think in terms of the hard to recycle things, we have an agreement with the Dolenz hazardous waste facility. Folks can get a membership there, and they will take everything. The list was really extensive, but just to give folks an idea, everything from antifreeze to large appliances to fashion accessories like purses and hats to fire extinguishers. So I would encourage folks also, another great resource is the littletonma.org site, and go to the DPW or the transfer station site, and they've got great information about all the things that you can recycle through the Center for Hard to Recycle Materials, or CHARM, over at the Dolenz Hazardous Waste Facility. They do have certain hours, so I would definitely encourage folks to double check the hours, and like you said, it's important to understand what you can't bring as well as what you can bring. Can you talk a little bit about the Sustainability Committee? And we talked about recycling, but what about reduce and reuse?
Yeah, and I think some would argue those are the first things we want to be thinking about.
Right, before we recycle, right.
Yeah, so how do we reduce? And one of the first things we can just ask ourselves, we live in a very consumer culture. It's like a lot of things, especially as we come up to the holidays. But do we really need something, right? That's just the first question we can always ask is, do we really need this? Is there another way maybe where I don't need to purchase more stuff? So that's always the first thing we want to think about. But then also just in reduce and reuse, we have a lot of great resources right here in Littleton where we can shop thrift, shop upcycled items. I mean, you mentioned the swap shop, for example.
Right.
But there's also a lot of great businesses in town where not only can you consign your items or donate your items to give them another life, but then also you can purchase those items and that make sure that we can kind of keep those local businesses going, as well as reduce our consumption of new products. The Sustainability Committee is, we often talk about reduction in terms of, energy reduction and, using, for instance, lower energy consumption items. But just as important are these products that we're using every day, whether it's clothes, toys. Another thing we'll be talking about at the Holiday Bazaar is, as we come up to the holiday season, how you can reuse items to wrap your gifts, which is kind of fun. So thinking about old fabrics or sort of interesting paper, newspaper, and, wrapping gifts in maybe a non-traditional way, which is kind of fun. It's a little bit of extra thought into those gifts and means we're not also necessarily purchasing reams and reams of new wrapping wrapping paper. So there's a few different things that people can consider, especially as we approach the holidays.
And sustainability will be there at the bazaar?
Yes, we'll have a table at the bazaar where you can also learn about some of the other initiatives that we're working on at the Sustainability Committee. Come and ask questions about the Climate Action Plan, for example, or the Climate Declaration. And also just, we're trying to be a little bit of a conduit as well for some of the other initiatives in town. So we know, for instance, that you can get a lot of energy efficient light bulbs from Littleton Electric, right? And so if you have those kinds of questions, it's a great place to stop by. And obviously, Holiday Bazaar is a lot of fun as well.
I was just thinking about, you mentioned the consumption at this time of year, and the thing that used to just drive me nuts when my kids were little were the stocking stuffers at Christmas time. And the stockings, I swear they get bigger every year. I don't know how, because it's the same stocking, and yet, right, exponentially larger every year somehow. And junk, right, just plastic junk that you're supposed to throw in there, or chocolate, which is just...
Yeah.
I mean, I need it every day. I don't think my kids need it every day.
Exactly. Reminded me, maybe some other parents of young kids would appreciate this, and I hope my own children don't realize this until they're much older, but I actually collect up a lot of those little gadgets and gadgets and trinkets, the ones that are still very usable. A lot of teachers actually really appreciate having those because they give them out to their students as little motivational, little prizes, etc.
Treasure box.
Yeah, especially some of the kids who are going through the reading programs. And so if you're wondering as a parent, what am I going to do with all these little plastic gadgets and gadgets, collect them up and see if maybe one of your local educators might appreciate having an extra stash of those.
And that actually is another great source for some of the things that we're talking about, right, which is social media, or Facebook in particular. I know that on the Littleton Moms page, for example, there's teachers that will snap up items like that are really, thrilled to have them. But there's, in addition to the Littleton Moms group, there's some other groups as well that are based, focused solely on this effort.
Exactly. There's actually a really great group called Need It Gone Littleton. And so if you need something gone, instead of throwing it in the trash, one man's trash is another treasure, right?
Yes.
So that's a really active place to give items new life. Also buy nothing groups. So if you're not already part of a buy nothing group, it's a great place. Everything, from garden items to toys, etc. A really great place to, again, give something new life. So that's a really great resource as well.
I'm a huge fan of the Need It Gone page.
Yeah, and I did learn that Littleton used to have a repair cafe. So I'm not sure anybody listening remembers this. I was not here at the time, but apparently we used to have a Littleton repair cafe where a couple times a year volunteers would set up shop and repair lamps, small appliances, bikes, jewelry, toys. So again, instead of those things going in the trash, you just fix them, right? I mean, I guess now you can watch a YouTube video and tinker yourself.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you can, but will you?
Exactly. So this was something that we were also thinking, if there's anybody out there that would love to reinvigorate the Littleton Repair Cafe, I think that would be a wonderful project to take on and give, again, another resource for the town to use.
Yeah, and a popular one as well.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of a resource that we have over at the library, right, which is the Library of Things over at Reuben Hoare Library. I know they've got a seed bank, for example, but there's also tools, I think, and other things that would be an investment, right, and that you might only use once or twice a year, but the library has them for you to check out and use once or twice a year as you need them.
It's a fabulous resource. I mean, everything from, aside from even the Library of Things, I don't know if everybody knows you can get puzzles from the library. You can just swap them out.
Yeah.
At least my kids don't like to do the same one twice, so you can trade them back and forth. But yeah, the Library of Things is incredible. And again, just reduces some of the things that you would be buying for your own household. They also have 3D printing.
Like tools? Like,
Yeah.
like power tools?
Yeah.
They have a lot of items.
Wow, I've never known a library to
Library of
do
things.
that.
The Library of Things
That's
is
very interesting.
Yeah.
They even had an 8 millimeter to digital converter. So if you've got, things like if you have old cassettes or
family
old
stuff, yeah.
old film, and you're not going to necessarily need to purchase that for yourself.
Yeah.
So it's a really great place. So borrowing, I think, is another part of that reduce, reuse mentality.
Yeah. Yeah. Our solution we were talking about the things and the teachers and giving it to teachers, but our solution back in Colorado was a bunch of the moms would get together and we would all bring all of our kids' little things that they had, used for an hour and forgotten about. We would just swap them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good idea. It's a great idea.
Exactly. My niece and nephew live in California, so we trade gifts and basically just swap them for the holidays. Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of other resources that we've mentioned or that we've talked about offline but haven't mentioned here yet include there is a private company that offers composting, curbside pickup for composting called Black Earth. If folks are interested in that as a resource. Charlotte, I know you do your own composting in your backyard, but for those of us who might not be willing to go through quite that much effort into the composting, they will come to your curb and pick it up, and that's also a really nice resource as well. Now, what do you do with your compost?
Well, it saves us a lot of money on any kind of outdoor potting soil. So whenever I need to put in a new plant or something, I use it for that. We also put it in our vegetable garden. So it's just this great resource. We also create leaf mulch. I know that a lot of talk around the fall, of course, about keeping your leaves. But if you have so many that you don't know what to do with them, put them in a big contained pile. They will break down, and you get this incredible sort of squishy, mulchy stuff. It's also really, really great to give a boost to some of your flower beds or garden or what have you. And I don't know, I have to say, I don't think it's been that much trouble to do the composting. You dump it in there, stick some leaves on top, and it takes care of itself. For the
And just
most
wait.
part. Yeah.
So
just
is
wait.
it like do you have it in an open container that you put it in, or is it?
So thanks to the people who actually gardened before us. So when we moved in, they'd already set up 3 3-foot by 3-foot sort of pens with like chicken wire kind of holding it in.
Sure.
And you put your compost in there, put a bit of leaves on top, and just keep going until that one's full. Takes a while, and then that one goes into the middle container, and then the middle container goes into the end container. So by the time it reaches the end, it's this rich black soil that's just sort of gold dust, right?
Wow.
And then, you can do whatever you want with it.
So how long does it take to break down from beginning to end? The first time once you put it in the first pen?
It depends a little bit on what you're putting in there.
Okay.
So there are different guidelines. As for instance, if you're putting in, like I also clean out the chicken coop, for instance, and put it in there, and there's guidelines that say you shouldn't really then be using that for your vegetable garden, maybe for a year, let's say, and don't quote me on this, but you can look it up.
Okay.
But if you're just putting in veggie scraps that are pretty small, a few months in the summer.
Wow.
It depends again on the season. If it's sitting there frozen solid during the winter, not much is happening.
Sure.
But once you get that cycle going,
Yep.
then you just, whenever you need a little extra soil for your garden, you got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Was there anything else you wanted to plug for sustainability or any other resources you wanted to mention?
Well, just the Littleton Sustainability Committee's Facebook page. So we're really trying to channel a lot of the resources through that page, answer people's questions, make people aware of different information, resources, and events. So if you don't already follow the page, please do. And we hope that can be a really great resource in town. And also, I will obviously share this podcast on that page, and then we're really looking forward to hearing people's feedback and suggestions on what other green topics they want to hear about. So we just look forward to trying to come up with some additional resources and information for the community.
Yeah, please let us know if you've got if you have ideas for the Green Littleton series, or for that matter, any other topic that you're interested in for Littleton. The transfer station, just one more time, is on Speck Pond Road. It's open from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 12 to 7, and Saturday from 8 to 5. Otherwise, I think that'll wrap it up for today. I look forward to hopefully seeing everyone who's listening, and you, Charlotte and Jim, hopefully at the Holiday Bazaar on Saturday. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Great, thanks.